The plane touched down just past noon, its shadow skimming over sapphire waves that kissed the edges of the island. Heat shimmered across the tarmac as the group of 6 friends stepped into the sunlight, laughter already echoing in the salted breeze. For most of them, this was just another reunion, another excuse to drink, tan, and forget the dull weight of their daily lives. But for Alex, something about this trip felt different. He wouldn't have been able to say why, only that it felt like the beginning of something he didn't yet have words for. The villa they'd rented sat perched on a hill, its white stone walls glowing against the sky. Inside, the air was cool and citrus-scented, and the windows opened wide to a view of the sea. As everyone scrambled for bedrooms and argued over who'd planned what, Alex let his suitcase drop in a corner and leaned against the doorframe, watching Liam unpack across the hall. Liam, his best friend for 6 years, the kind of person who made silence comfortable, who remembered the exact way Alex took his coffee and always laughed first at his bad jokes. They'd shared apartments, heartbreaks, endless late-night phone calls. And yet, lately, something had shifted. Or maybe it had always been there, just under the surface, and Alex had only now started to feel the heat of it. Liam looked up from his duffel and caught Alex's gaze. "You good?" Alex nodded too quickly. "Yeah, just tired." Liam smiled, that soft, lopsided grin that always seemed to drag sunlight into even the dullest moments. "We're here to fix that." By evening, the villa was alive with music and motion. Someone set up a speaker on the patio, and bottles of wine sweated on the table. The sea turned dark and gold as the sun slipped lower, and one by one they moved outside, laughing, spinning, sinking into cushions. Alex found himself watching Liam again, the way his throat tilted back when he laughed, the way his fingers tapped absently to the beat of a song no one was really listening to. At some point, Liam dropped down beside him, their knees brushing. "What's going on in that head of yours?" Alex shrugged. "Just thinking." "Dangerous habit." "Yeah, well, someone's got to do it." Liam nudged him with a shoulder. "You always do this. You disappear inside yourself." Alex looked at him then, really looked. The flicker of firelight in his eyes, the way his jaw tensed when he was trying not to say too much. And for a moment, Alex wanted to reach out and touch his hand, just to see what it would feel like, just to know. But he didn't. Instead, he said, "Do you remember that night in second year, the roof of that pub in Edinburgh? We sat there. For hours." "Yeah," Liam said softly. "You told me you were thinking of dropping out. You stopped me. You needed stopping. I think—" Alex hesitated. "I think I've been holding on to a lot since then." Liam turned to face him. "Like what?" But before Alex could speak, someone called their names from the kitchen, and the moment scattered like dry leaves in wind. Later, they walked down to the beach together. The others had drifted to bed or back to their phones. The moon hung low over the sea, casting silver over sand and skin. Their conversation had gone quiet, full of unsaid things and shared silences. Liam kicked off his shoes, wandered close to the shoreline. "You ever think about how fast time moves?" he asked. Alex's voice was low. "Only when I'm trying to hold on to something." Liam didn't answer. He stood there, back to Alex, waves licking his ankles. A breeze tugged at the hem of his shirt. Alex stared at him for a long moment, heart thudding with the weight of everything he wasn't saying. He turned before he could speak, before he could ruin something that wasn't his to ruin. That night, in bed, Alex stared at the ceiling fan, spinning slow and hypnotic. The air smelled of sea salt and lemons. Liam's laughter, the way he'd looked under the moonlight, all of it played on loop in his mind. He whispered into the dark, "It was just a vacation, that's all." But deep down, he already knew it wasn't. The island days folded into each other like pages in a sun-drenched book. Mornings passed in lazy rituals, coffee on the balcony, bare feet on cool tile, sleepy jokes exchanged over cracked eggshells and toast. Evenings hummed with laughter and light, their group slipping easily into a rhythm that felt both old and fleeting. And between it all, something unspoken moved between Alex and Liam like a current under calm water, visible only in the moments they were still enough to feel it. It was Liam's idea to break away from the group one afternoon. "There's a trail up to the cliffs," he said over breakfast, pointing with a piece of fruit at a winding dotted line on the map. "Less touristy. You in?" Alex hesitated for a moment too long. "Just us?" Liam smirked. "You scared? I'll get us lost." It was hot when they set off, the sun already high and heavy in the sky. The path wound through olive groves and stone fences, the air thick with rosemary and wildflowers. At first, they filled the silence with casual chatter, music, work, people from home. But eventually, even that faded, replaced by the sound of gravel beneath their shoes and the rise of cicadas around them. At the summit, the sea stretched, out like glass, endless and quiet. They sat on a flat rock edge, shoulders barely apart, their water bottles sweating between them. Liam leaned back, arms behind his head, eyes closed. "I needed this." Alex glanced at him. "The view?" "The space, the quiet you." The words landed heavier than they should have, and Alex wasn't sure how to hold them. He stared out at the water instead, at the shimmer of blue that blurred the horizon. His voice came quiet. "Are you happy, Liam?" Liam opened his eyes, but didn't look over. "Sometimes. I think I tell myself I am, because I'm afraid of what it would mean if I wasn't." Alex didn't reply. He didn't need to. The quiet between them wasn't empty anymore. It pulsed with possibility. That night, most of the group went into town for a beach party. Music, drinks, loud chaos. But Alex begged off with a headache, and when he saw Liam linger near the villa door, uncertain, it wasn't a surprise when he stayed behind too. It started raining just after 9. Light at first, then heavier, drumming against the windows. The power flickered once, then gave out entirely. Alex lit the candles they'd left in the kitchen, their soft glow casting golden shadows across the walls. Liam joined him in the living room, towel drying his hair. "We could pretend we're in a horror movie." Alex raised an eyebrow. "You always flirt in horror scenarios?" Liam laughed, the sound low and unguarded. "Depends on the cast." They sat together on the couch, knees almost touching, a shed blanket across their laps. Outside the storm thickened. Inside the air grew slower, heavier. Time didn't pass so much as pause. A film played, muted and forgotten. Their eyes met once, then again. The third time, neither of them looked away. When Liam leaned in, it wasn't abrupt. It felt inevitable, like gravity. The kiss was tentative. At first, uncertain, soft, but deepened quickly, like something that had been waiting to happen. Alex's heart was pounding so loudly he barely registered anything else. He felt Liam's hand slip behind his neck, fingers trembling, and he didn't think, just responded, leaned in, breathed him in. And then it was over. Not in anger, not in rejection, but in the quiet way Liam pulled back, lips parted, eyes searching, like he was trying to find the boundary again. Alex touched his own lips. What was that? Liam didn't answer. He stared at the flickering candlelight, then murmured, "I don't know. I didn't plan it." Alex nodded slowly, trying to match his breath to the slow ticking of the rain. But it meant something. Liam looked at him then, eyes full, of something that looked too much like guilt. "Yeah," he said. "It did." They didn't kiss again that night, but they stayed curled together on the couch, barely speaking, as the storm passed overhead. In the darkness, Alex let himself believe, for just a little while, that this was the start of something honest. He didn't know that in the morning, the truth would start to unravel, that something he hadn't seen yet had already begun to break. Morning came too soon, gray and fragile after the night's storm. Sunlight slid cautiously through half-closed shutters, drawing long stripes across the cool floor. Alex awoke still on the couch, blanket tangled around his legs, the warmth of Liam's absence palpable in the space beside him. At first he told himself not to read into it. Maybe Liam had slipped away for coffee or to shower. Maybe this wasn't distance, just morning awkwardness. But as the minutes stretched thin, uncertainty began to coil in Alex's chest. By the time he wandered into the kitchen, the villa buzzed again with voices and clattering dishes. Liam stood at the counter, back turned, laughing too easily at something one of their friends said. His eyes flicked to Alex once, quick, unreadable, then back to his conversation. Alex's stomach twisted. The day unfolded in a haze. They drove along winding coastal roads, stopped at markets and tiny cliffside cafes. On the surface, everything shimmered with sunlight and smiles, but Alex couldn't shake the weight pressing against his ribs. Every glance at Liam felt like trying to read a story missing its middle pages. It wasn't until late afternoon, back at the villa, that Alex found himself alone in the living room. The others were sprawled by the pool, half asleep under the sun. Liam's phone, left on the coffee table, buzzed once, an incoming message flashing briefly on the lock screen. Alex didn't mean to look, but his eyes caught on it anyway. "Miss you. Can't wait till you're back." The name above the message wasn't familiar. His breath caught. He stared, pulse roaring in his ears. Another message blinked in quick succession. "Talk tonight?" Cold swept through him, prickling his skin. The kiss, the closeness. It hadn't been some impossible leap they'd both fallen into. Liam wasn't free. He wasn't untethered. And he hadn't told Alex. When Liam returned moments later, Alex barely registered his voice. He excused himself, with a mumbled excuse, and fled upstairs, hands shaking. In his room, the truth settled hard and unforgiving. It had meant something to him. All of it. Every glance, every touch. And to Liam? What had it been? A momentary lapse? A selfish escape? Anger tangled with hurt, a tight knot beneath Alex's ribs. For hours he sat by the window, watching the sky darken, the sea turn molten. Gold. Words formed and dissolved on his tongue, each more hollow than the last. That evening, the villa swirled with energy again, music, drinks, half-hearted dancing. Alex drank too fast, too carelessly, the sharp burn barely touching the ache beneath it. Across the room, Liam hovered on the edge of the group, eyes shadowed, movements stiff. When the others drifted out onto the terrace, Alex cornered him in the hallway. "We need to talk," he said, voice low but sharp. Liam froze. "Now." "Yes. Now." They found an empty room, door half closed. The quiet between them was brittle, ready to shatter. Alex stared at him, anger barely masked. "How long were you going to pretend? Until we got back? Until your boyfriend called again?" Liam's face paled. "You saw my phone." "I didn't need to. You've been lying by omission since we got here." Liam rubbed a hand over his face, exhaling hard. "I didn't plan any of this, But you let it happen," Alex cut in. "You let me believe it meant something." "It did," Liam said, voice cracking. "It does. But I'm not free to give you more than that." "That's not good enough." Alex's voice was quieter now, heavy with hurt. "I'm not a mistake you get to regret in private." Liam's eyes filled, but he said nothing. The silence stretched between them, thick with everything they couldn't fix. Finally, Alex stepped back, throat tight. I hope he knows what he has. Because you don't. He left without waiting for a response, feet carrying him through the villa's maze of rooms, out onto the dark terrace. The sea whispered below, endless and indifferent. Alone beneath the stars, Alex let the betrayal settle fully, the sharp edges of it cutting through the remnants of hope. And still, a voice whispered beneath the pain, soft and insistent. It wasn't just a vacation anymore. It never had been. But now, it was something broken, something that couldn't be taken back. The final days on the island unfolded like a fragile performance, everyone playing their parts beneath a brittle surface. Conversations skimmed the edges of comfort, laughter rang a touch too forced, and glances darted between Alex and Liam when they thought no one noticed. The storm between them had passed, but its aftermath lingered in every unspoken word. Alex moved through it all with a kind of practiced grace, his smile soft but distant. He answered questions when asked, joined group meals, but the easy warmth he'd once shared with Liam had frozen to something colder. Not angry, no longer, but resolute. The space between them wasn't accidental anymore. It was chosen. Liam, for his part, didn't push. He hovered at the margins of Alex's awareness, quieter than usual, gaze often flickering with words left unsaid. But whatever explanations he'd once wanted to offer remained trapped behind that same guilty silence. One afternoon, as the others lay sun-drenched by the pool, Alex wandered alone to the beach. The tide was low, the sand cool beneath his feet. He found a quiet stretch near a cluster of rocks and sat with his journal balanced across his knees. The words came slow at first, halting, uncertain, but soon the page filled with looping lines. Some loves aren't meant to last, some aren't even meant to begin, but they come anyway, like storms we think we can outrun. You were the eye of that storm, Liam, and part of me will always ache for the quiet I thought I'd found in you. He closed the journal softly, the ache in his chest muted now, no longer. Sharp, but hollow. He wasn't naive anymore. The kiss had been real. The feelings had been real. But so had the lie, and he would carry both truths forward, equally weighted. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in watercolor hues, footsteps approached from behind. Alex didn't turn. He already knew who it was. Liam stopped a few feet away, voice tentative. "Can I sit?" Alex nodded once. They sat in silence, the waves offering cover for words neither of them yet knew how to say. Finally, Liam exhaled. "I'm sorry." Alex's gaze stayed fixed on the horizon. For what? For kissing me? For not telling me? For making me believe it was something more? "All of it," Liam said, voice rough. "I never wanted to hurt you, but I was selfish. I told myself I could manage it, that it wouldn't matter if it was just one moment." Alex's laugh was soft, bitter around the edges. "But it does matter, Liam. It always mattered." "I know." Liam's voice cracked. "I wish I could go back. Change it." Alex shook his head. "You can't, neither can I, and maybe that's the point." They fell quiet again. The air between them felt clearer now, though laced with sadness. No anger remained, only understanding and the faint ache of something that could never be undone. Liam finally looked at him, eyes shining. "I don't know if you'll ever forgive me." "I think," Alex said slowly, "forgiveness isn't the point. We both have to live with this. That's enough." Liam nodded, voice barely a whisper. "You deserved more." Alex met his gaze for the first time, steady and calm. "We both did." When the sun finally sank beneath the waves, Liam stood. For a moment he hovered, as if wanting to say more, but in the end, he only offered a small, broken smile before walking away. Alex watched him go, a strange peace settling over him. Not closure. Some wounds didn't close that neatly, but a kind of acceptance. The world was still wide and bright beyond this hurt. He would carry the lessons forward, even if the love remained behind. At the airport the next morning, Alex moved through the motions with quiet composure. Suitcases thudded onto conveyor belts. Friends exchanged numbers, hugs, promises of reunions. Liam stood apart from the group, uncertain. Before boarding, Alex caught his eye across the crowded terminal. No words passed between them, only a faint nod, a silent goodbye. On the flight home, Alex sat by the window, journal open in his lap. He wrote one final line. It was just a vacation, until it wasn't. And maybe that's okay. Because some truths come wrapped in heartbreak, but they leave us freer than before. Outside the window, the clouds parted. Light streamed through. And for the first time in days, Alex let himself breathe.